perfect light again. My goodness.
It just happens that it's the right time of day. And the light in this room is really great at this time of the day. So it works out perfect every time. Your light is great too, though.
It doesn't look good to me, but okay.
Yeah, no, it looks great. Well, welcome everybody to the This Is Somebody conversation series. And today I am joined with MichelleHess. I'm so excited to talk to you today, Michelle, because I just love everything about the way you show up to the world. I love the work that you're doing. I just love your way. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's always good to chat with you. And likewise, I really enjoy what you're doing. I can't wait to share it with more in the world too.
Absolutely. So tell everybody who you are and what you do and why I'm so excited to talk about you. Once you guys hear it, you'll know. So.
Oh, hopefully, I guess this is the thing I'm not really great at, you guys, is talking about myself. I prefer to talk to somebody else. That's why I like interviewing other people, not being interviewed so much. But I'm MichelleHess, and I'm the founder of Brave Girl Living. In 2006, I started that, and out of that has come the emphasis beyond finding confidence and courage and connection with women. Since 2012, I've added in the emphasis of body image and helping women just drop the drama and ditch the diets and delete the body image BS. So one of the ways that we do that is I started hosting this big online summit for women for all over the world. And Miss Stacy, we are delighted to have as one of our guests on the next summit. So I'm really thrilled about that. And we get these amazing women from all over the world who are leading in their fields and helping us to learn more about loving our bodies and in that sense, loving ourselves, right? Because it just emanates out so that we're not held back anymore. Absolutely. So that's the bottom line.
I love everything about your mission. I love the Brave Girl title. I love that. How did you come up with that?
It's funny. I came up with it in 2005, and I was coaching with this business coach about platforms. And I thought this was fascinating because it just came to me like that whole thing of my whole life. I always remember waking up feeling scared. And people wouldn't believe me because I project confidence most of the time. Unless you know me really well, then you would know, oh, she's nervous. Or unless I tell you I'm nervous. And it just got me thinking of, I'm not the only one like that, and we put up these facades that we project out to the world, which is part of being human. But at the same time, I really wanted to break through that and learn how we can be brave together. Mm-hmm. So that's how that came up. So the business coach told me, though, she's like, well, I don't know about that name. I don't think that's a good name.
Well, I
don't think women are going to resonate with that. And I laughed because then later, all these, now everyone uses Brave. There's the movie, there's one movement after another. There's tons of people out there using variations of it. So she was wrong.
Exactly. Well, I'm so glad that you followed your own wisdom with that.
Thank you. I am too. I mean, there were times when I doubted, the first couple of years a little bit, but most women resonate with it. Mm-hmm. I mean, even though we're grown women and we totally embrace our womanhood, there's still that part of us, that girl in us, Mm-hmm. And honestly, when I'm sure you explore this in the work you do with sensuality and different things, but the fear in us is usually the little girl in us. Mm-hmm. And so we want her to come up to the adult level that we have up here.
Right.
and able to be brave in all aspects of life. So
absolutely. Yeah. So tell me about your own experience with body shame and your journey to loving your own body.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't remember growing up with a lot of body shame, but there definitely was the awareness. I grew up as a competitive athlete, and so it was more important that I was strong and fast and a good soccer player than as much how I looked. But of course, we were totally obsessed with our looks as teenagers too. So we had that. But I was really fortunate in that I didn't get shaming so much. It's that part of it wasn't so bad. And maybe because I was conventionally cute. And so, it didn't, but I do remember boys and people, picking apart our bodies. And so I definitely had this really high level of consciousness. I grew up in Southern California in the beach culture. And, our goal was to look hot in our bikinis and be all tan and, everything in the summer. And so we were very obsessed with how we looked. But at the same time, we also wanted to perform as athletes. And so that was a little bit higher precedence. Yeah. I only have one memory of my mom saying something when I was a teen. And this is when I was playing soccer and her saying, doesn't that skin below your arm bug you or something? And I'm like, what are you talking about? So already she was probably in her late 30s, at that time and focused on that. And I wasn't doing push-ups in my workouts that much. But I have, so I've been really fortunate not to have been on the receiving end of like public body shame and stuff growing up. And so now that I'm an adult woman and I'm fat and I don't really give a rip what people say about me. So now I don't really care if someone, I'm sure the more vocal we get and the more we're online, my friends that are on the larger side definitely have experienced a lot of stuff. A lot of trolls and online stuff. And I've been fortunate not to. And I block and delete. And I don't care. I don't need to deal with these people.
Absolutely. I love that you are mindful of it and that you're not putting up with the shit, because it's so easy to internalize that stuff. And I think that a lot of people do. And now that the internet is I don't know, it seems sometimes more prevalent than actual in-person life sometimes. Now that's true for nearly everyone on the planet, it's so much easier to have these messages from people who don't even know you get in your head and actually derail everything that you thought you were sure about in your own life.
And I have colleagues now that are activists. And they've gotten death threats, which is the most ludicrous thing in the world. One of my friends, some guy built a site all about basically tearing her down and harassing her and stalking her. And, it's really insane what people do with the online presence these days. And when I was hearing about that, I got a little bit scared at first. And I thought, okay, well, as I'm going more online in the presence with the summits and the workshops and the things that we do for women, I thought, well, is that going to happen to me? And then I went, you know what? Okay, it's a possibility, but I don't care. So screw it.
Absolutely. That I am still amazed, even though I have a tendency to switch between reality glasses and rose-colored glasses pretty regularly. And every single time I hear a story or I read a comment, I still cannot believe that people actually live in the space of just being mean to other people for no reason at all. My first experience, I hadn't really had any online troll experience really until recently. I wrote an article. And I went, when the article goes live, of course, you go to see comments and you respond because that's proper article etiquette, right? And
don't read the comments, right?
Well, I was amazed. Thankfully, I wasn't rattled by it, but I read and there was not just comments, but other commenters arguing with the trolls. It was a whole thing. And I was like, wow. And then it just reminded me, though, that I'm always saying, if someone thinks that I'm fantastic or fucked up, neither one of them are my business. And so as much as I love positive feedback, I also am really careful about not owning that, too, because whether someone thinks I'm great or thinks I'm awful really has nothing to do with me. It has to do with where they are in their lives in that particular moment. And the fact that whatever I wrote or whatever I said had a trigger for it. but I still was like flabbergasted. Like I was like, oh my God, like people really people really just do that. Like they just log on to sites and just say mean things or whatever. But like the thought of someone building a whole website around just being mean is just crazy to me. I still can't believe that is what life is like for people.
Yeah, it's really astounding. And we've seen this with different movements in feminism, over the last 100 years, and the different waves, and how there's major backlashes in culture. And the fact, men are obviously involved in the body positive movement. We have many brothers that are involved in this, and that's wonderful. But women have been leading the forefront of it and putting themselves out and saying, we need to stop the body shaming. It doesn't matter if you're thin or you're fat or you're in between. All bodies are valuable and all bodies are good, and we need to stop the shaming. And so it's gotten enough press at this point that the backlash is coming out full force. And like you were saying, it's the triggers. People are triggered, and things that have to do with their own insecurities and what they're vested in. And I think it was Linda Bacon really opened my eyes to the fact that if people invest so much money, time, energy into their physical appearance and so-called perfecting their bodies, then they have a lot to lose in their mind if they accept the idea that they're really okay without all that. Because it's like, what? I just spent my whole life yo-yo dieting, starving myself, suffering, working out 4 hours a day, getting cosmetic surgery, doing all these things so that I look hot in our culture. And you're saying that it's not necessary, that I've wasted my time and money, and they just can't even fathom accepting that. It's too threatening. And that's another big reason we have women bashing on women too. So it makes me really sad. But I just hope that in building community around the positivity of it and being inclusive and accepting that when a woman does step over that threshold and is like able to go, okay, I've been a part of this and I want to change, then we're here. Our arms are open and we're here.
How do you deal when someone comes to you and they're like, well, I want to accept myself, but I'm heavy and I want to make change? Like, how do you help them to navigate the duality of that reality?
Yeah, that's something I can really relate to. So when I work with clients, that is something I'm really comfortable navigating. So you got to look at, do they have eating issues, first of all? Do they have health issues? What's contributing to this? But you can't make any change from a place of shame and a place of negativity and beating yourself up. So the first thing is coming to that, that self-compassion and learning to accept the reality as it is and realize that if you could wave that magic wand and all of a sudden all these things that you think are your problems or your issues go away, you're not going to be any different. You're still going to have the same issues. So I'm really haze friendly, which is the health at every size approach. And people can look that up online, health at every size. And they're weight neutral. So like in my community, the Body Love Experiment, we don't talk about diets. I'm anti-diets, first of all. I'm not anti-health though, but I'm anti-diets. And there's a lot of women in there who are still in the diet cycle, and that's okay, but they want to get out of that. We're in this diet culture that is completely dysfunctional. Our culture has normalized abnormal eating and disordered eating habits and said, this is normal. This is something to applaud. This is something to
work. We're frozen just for a minute. So it paused like right after you said there are a lot of women in the community that are still in the diet cycle.
Okay. Yes. And they're wanting to make change, but wherever they are, we accept it. But we definitely don't talk about diets in that regard. Am I still frozen?
No, you're good. You're good. And I love that. I definitely.
Oh, I can't hear you now.
I can still
I must be
very
frozen.
well. So you must just be frozen on your end. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
I can still hear you.
Uh-oh. Oh, you can still hear me? Okay. That's good. Okay, I'll keep talking since you can still hear me. So people get really stuck in that, and we want to work to get out of it. And the haze approach is weight neutral. So you might get healthy and love your body and have joyful movement in your life and not lose any weight. You might have a new composition of your body, but your weight stays the same. Or you might lose weight, or you might gain a little weight. It's very common to gain weight when you start accepting yourself, especially if you've been dieting and starving yourself for so long. So I'm not anti-change, I'm pro-change. I really want us to be able to change. We want to grow and mature and progress in life, but we need to realize, where are we coming from? Are we changing because culture is telling us that we're not enough? Or are we changing because we want to mature and grow?
Absolutely. Can you hear me now? Oh, you can't hear me now.
Okay, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Yes, you can still hear me.
So okay. Maybe.
But I don't want to have a monologue, you guys, and my my little web thing here is messing up because Stacy's frozen for me. Do you want to type a question? I don't know. Either that or we have to pause and I have to try reloading or something. Logging off and coming back on. Okay, I will do that. Bye.
Thank you guys for being patient with the technology. There's a storm happening where Michelle is right now, and that is probably what's interfering with the connection. So thank you guys for being patient while we figure this out. And I'm loving everything that Michelle is saying right now. So I hope that you guys are too. And now it looks like you're coming back on, Michelle. Let's see. I can't see you yet, but I hope that you can hear me and hopefully it'll come back on soon. In the meantime, though, I definitely have the same thoughts about dieting. I think that it's fantastic to eat for health, but not to diet and for shame and that kind of thing. I can't see you or hear you, Michelle, but I'm glad that you can hear me. I've never really been a dieter. I just have a hard time with the idea of limiting myself in that way. But I do listen to what my body asks me. And if it asks me to not eat something, then I will not eat it. So and that's not always easy. Like there are certain things that I love, like ice cream, for example. I love ice cream. My body does not enjoy ice cream. So I eat it sometimes, but I don't eat it as often as I would like to. So I have the same thing with French fries. I have this love-hate relationship with French fries. I really love French fries. I don't particularly like the way they make my body feel. So I still eat them in moderation so that I don't get that feeling of them sitting in the middle of my throat, because sometimes that's what it feels like. And it looked like you were almost there, Michelle, but not quite. Let's see if this time works. I can't. There you are. Now I can see you. Oh, you were like, it was working that time. So yeah, so I definitely understand the conflict that sometimes can exist with people in wanting to change and not wanting to shame themselves at the same time. Let's see if this time is going to work out. We're going to get there. I thank you so much, Michelle, for being patient. I can't see you or hear you yet, but thank you for trying. I appreciate it. Yeah, there was a second when you were on, but I don't think you could hear me, but I could see you, but it went away. Michelle and I are both in California, but we're in different parts of California. So can I just say that I'm hating the storm because of the technology, but I'm so grateful that it's raining where you are, because rain trickles down. And so I'm hoping the rain will flow down here into Southern California as well. If you guys are not from California, you might not know that we have actually been experiencing a drought for quite some time. So the fact that it's raining where Michelle is a victory for Californians. So I'm glad about that. And I still can't see you, Michelle. I still can't see you or hear you. I definitely want to talk a little bit, though, while Michelle's trying to come back on, about her online community. It's so engaging and it's so inviting, and everyone is so warm and friendly. And Michelle posts such thought-provoking questions, and it really gets you to thinking. She shares the best articles and the best videos, and I've been introduced to a lot of really great stuff in Michelle's community. So I am really love it. And I love that it's really just about being positive and acceptance, because I really believe that acceptance is the greatest gift we can give ourselves. It's sometimes the hardest gift too, but once we get there, it just opens up. Our life becomes so much more expansive. And it isn't just like, it's easy to feel like body shame and body image is just about your body, but it does definitely ripple out when you feel good about, about yourself. Like, you are more confident, your relationships are stronger, because there's not that self-consciousness doesn't get in the way of intimacy. So it really is a very big deal. It's also, I've seen a lot of women, not even be able to do the work, whatever that happens to be, not being able to put themselves out there in a really big way, simply because, body image is such a difficult thing. There you are.
Are we back?
Yes, and I can hear you. I was just like rambling.
Yeah, I could hear you. I was going to try and go into the hard thing, but anyway. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry, guys.
Yay.
Now I'm in the messy kitchen.
I don't see mess at all. And the cabinets are fantastic, by the way. Oh, and now you're frozen.
Are you serious?
No, now I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
This is insane. That's
okay. Well, we'll wrap it up shortly, just because I don't want you to keep having to go through that either. I was just talking about your wonderful community. So talk about it a little bit and give them where they can find it. So if we get cut off again, people can join.
Okay. Yeah. If you aren't already in it, go to Facebook and search Body Love Experiment, and you'll find it. It's under groups, and just click to join. And my Facebook page where you can message me or anything like that is Brave Girl Tribe. So you can find me there if you're having trouble getting into the group. And also the email for the group is bravegirl.me. So if you go to bravegirl.me, there's some free recordings that you can have to get you started on your journey. And then you'll be on the list for all the announcements of things that we do. Excellent. So we have challenges. We just started having monthly calls, and our call recently was on surviving the holidays with grace and peace, and we had a great time. And we have the summit, and we have all sorts of stuff going on. So resources for you.
Yes, that is fantastic. And what are your plans for the holidays? How do you manage the holidays with grace and peace?
Yeah, well, gosh, I started in my mid to late 20s getting rid of the crazy makers in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So basically that's not really an issue. I mean, there's been a few family things maybe in my 30s, but in my 40s, no, it's just not an issue. Especially since my sister got divorced. It's not an issue at all. Sorry, nephews. I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah. So I don't have to deal with that. I'm fortunate. I've worked through all that kind of stuff. Food's not an issue for me. I have been very blessed and never having an eating disorder or anything to recover from. And once I stopped dieting, because I'd always been fat as an adult, but I still thought, oh, well, I need to get to a certain weight so I can do whatever. And I was still over 200 pounds when I was running 8 miles and training for a half marathon. So I was like, okay, I'd rather be on my lower range of my fat range because it's easier to move or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just, for me, the holidays, it's not a problem. But what I do is encourage other people who are struggling with it to just give yourself permission that you don't need permission. You are a grown woman. You can do whatever you want. And if you have people in your life that are harassing you about your body or your food, step up, set those boundaries, tell them some people you're going to have to avoid. And if they can't honor your wishes, then they don't get to hang out with you.
Thank you.
That's
I love that.
If you want more ideas, go in our community, and the recordings posted, and there's some articles posted from colleagues of mine. And, we're just always trying to bring the good stuff in for you.
Absolutely. And I love what you said about not dealing with it in your 40s. Can we talk about how fantastic the 40s are? I love being a 40-something woman.
Yeah, you really do not give a flying, you know what? Absolutely. I don't have a potty mouth generally unless I'm really pissed off. So
no, I understand. Like it is so liberating to be 40-something because I think you've lived long enough to realize like all that stuff that means absolutely nothing and what a waste of time it is, time, energy, and sometimes money to, devote your attention or to spend your time with people who just aren't your vibe. Like, and it's so easy to just to walk away and unapologetically in the 40s. It's just
my gosh, no kidding. It really is. It really is. And it's amazing what I hear around me all the time, though, still from people that, they're on the journey, but they're constantly still bashing themselves, even in their 40s. And I just wish for all the women to be able to get to that place where they understand that they're enough and they're okay the way they are. Mm-hmm. Not that we don't have bad days. We all have bad days. We're human. It's normal, So I think we're kind of needing to redefine normal in the sense of bringing it back to what really is normal, not abnormal.
I agree. And I also love the what you said about like, we all have bad days. Like, I think that we've somehow come to this idea that the yucks are not okay. And that when you do feel yucky, you're supposed to hurry up to not feel yucky, which actually does the opposite. It actually makes the yucks longer. And, but to just kind of be okay, because I don't enjoy the ebb either. I love flow way better. Like I love flow, but the ebb like is so fantastic. Like I had a couple of weeks ago that I just like the whole week I had the yucks that I was like, this week has just been shitty. And I was just okay with it. And I didn't try to push myself out of it because in my experience, even when things get really yucky and when it just continue, when it feels like there's no end to it, there's always something that's fantastic on the other side of it. And there's no way but through, So I love that I love what you said, that we just have to be okay, that some days are going to not be so great. And other days, like sometimes the high rides off too. Like sometimes that might last for months even before, you hit the yucks again. So I think that it's really something to be said about just accepting wherever we are, however we look in every moment, because that definitely shifts and it shifts without your permission. Like
you're such a good example. And you're such a good example of that. I love that about you. And, it's really good to have people like you in my life. I'm really blessed by that because sometimes we don't extend the grace to ourselves that we need to, especially when you have other people depending on you. And we need to be reminded of that. That's the thing about community. We need it. Absolutely. We need it. We're not made to be solo. We're social creatures. And so I really appreciate those qualities about yourself.
Well, thank you. And you, because I feel like I really am just a reflection. So thank you, because you are such a stellar example of showing up to life and moving through it. But I know in my own life too, sometimes sometimes we forget to extend those courtesies to ourselves. I am definitely guilty of burning the candle at both ends for the sake of whatever my current thing is.
Yeah. You get really involved in your projects and then you're like, I didn't take care of myself. Oh crap, it's hitting the fan now.
And when it hits, especially that's one of the other things about the 40s, right? Like when it hits, it's a lot more aggressive in the 40s than
No kidding. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
No kidding. You are so right, my dear.
Yes. I mean, one of the things one of my current things right now is, because it's so easy for me to sit down at my computer and be at it for 10 hours, or some crazy number. My knees are saying, what? So I'm having to now remind myself every 30 minutes to get up and move. And even if it's something simple, like I've taken to not like filling up a big water bottle, but actually just drinking out of a coffee cup, so that when it gets empty, I have no choice but to go downstairs and refill, because that's just an example, a way for me to get out of my seat, because it's so easy to be still and it's just not good for my body. And my knees are saying, look, girl, you better get up and move or I'm going to not work.
Oh yeah. That happens to me with my back. And that whole thing, that's part of having that awareness of what your body needs and listening to it and not blocking it out. And so many women are in their heads all the time, and they're not aware of what's going on in their bodies. And, that's something that I know you work on and I work on with clients to relearn that, like that we had when we were kids.
Yeah.
So, and that's a really great example.
And it's interesting though, because, the older we get, sometimes, being present is really helpful and being mindful. So I'm a lot better at it than I once was. But sometimes the only way for us to pay attention is for something to start hurting, because pain is really just a signal, like, hello, remember, it's a reminder to pay attention. It's nice though, when we are in our bodies more, when we can actually, be mindful without the painful signals.
Yeah. Much more enjoyable.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to mind your time, Michelle. And I know that, that it's storming where you are, which I'm really happy and sad about. But I'm happy about the nourishment for the land and sad about the technological inconvenience for you. But I thank you so very much for joining me today and for being so resilient to keep this conversation going. I really appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to everything that you have going on. I'm so excited. The new year is going to be so fantastic for you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And it's always a pleasure. And I'm so glad that we connected.
Me too. It's been fantastic. And thank you guys for showing up and staying with us for this conversation. The This Is Somebody conversation series happens most Wednesdays. Actually, all the Wednesdays this month, except for the day before Christmas Eve, because I'm going to be doing whatever, probably cooking. But yeah, so join me. They're live on Blabs. The recordings are available on YouTube. And to participate in the This Is Somebody movement, you can actually just take a selfie, just really showing your body some love. If you want to pay some great attention to your least favorite body part, that's lovely too. And use the This Is Somebody hashtag, and just make sure that the pictures are internet friendly. So don't show your goodies. That's it.
Exactly.
Well, I thank you so much, Michelle. Before we go, though, I do want you to just talk a little bit about your upcoming summit and when people can expect that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great. So the Brave Body Love Summit, the global summit for women wanting to be free from all the BS, basically. We're not going to subtitle it that, don't worry. But that's coming up February 7th. Last year we started this year, but the last time we started on the 14th on Valentine's Day. So we're going to do it a week earlier. And I just have to cap off the speakers because there's just so many amazing women out there. And last time we had 35 and that was a little too much. So we'll see, but it's going to be, to go sign up so you're in the loop, just go to bravebodylove.com and just sign up, and then you'll get all the deets on everything when it's ready to go live.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you for being brave and for showing up and for helping women to show up to their lives and be beautiful, because we all are, right?
That's right.
Excellent.
We all are. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll stay dry in the storm there and send some of that rain my way.
Yeah, you'll be getting it. Don't worry.
I'm looking forward to it. Well, I will talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye, Stacy.